Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. We're here for a full-time match reaction after it is finished at Anfield. Liverpool 3, Southampton 1. And you're all very welcome. We started smack dab on time today. And that's what happens when our two latecomers for every show, Ashley and Kev, were on with me for the final 20 beforehand. One of our new member shows as we make the switch over to Patreon here in 10 days. One of the shows that we're offering over there is going to be the final 20, where whoever's available on a Saturday morning / afternoon for the 3 o'clock games, usually myself. It's been Kev and Ashley with me both weeks so far, where we watch through the final 20 minutes of it. I was wondering who that was. We watched through the final 20 minutes of the 3 o'clock matches. Today, obviously, the only thing we were really paying any attention to was Liverpool versus Southampton. And we had all the fun of the third goal spoiled for us by the latecomer to the show, Mr. Chris Brack, who is somehow watching this game, even though that's illegal, Chris. Chris, we've all had a little talk about it.
I've just flown in from Dublin.
Yes, that's what it was. I presumed you were outside the stadium, just with a bullhorn in your ear.
A little horn, I had a big telescope into Anfield. Yeah. Hello, Cat Queen. That is my daughter Olivia, who's invaded the post-show chat before to say hello.
Good. Everybody will be nice. We have a very nice chat in here, as I'm sure Olivia must know from the things that you say around the house, Chris. What did you think of the match, Chris?
Pretty drab first half. It was really, really flat. I knew at halftime we'd get the entitled FC, arrogance FC lines because that's what everyone does. But I honestly thought, I think Ashley nailed it in our chat at halftime, which was, I think Liverpool went into that game to try and control it and not expend a lot of energy, save their energy for the weekend. I think went too far the other way and got punished for it. Second half, they upped the level, got the lead. But even when I said we upped our level, I still don't think they got out of third gear. And I think the subs helped. And again, I think that's proven what probably a lot of people don't give Liverpool credit for, which is Liverpool's squad depth is better than most people think. And again, subs came on and subs made the impact. So listen, 16 points clear. Mind the gap, Arsenal. Good luck catching it.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley, there is something to be said about 9 games left to play. Now, granted, Arsenal have 11 games left to play, but 16 points is starting to feel almost mathematically insurmountable. But it wasn't always feeling that way. I mean, another game where we have to make changes at halftime, and Arne Slot gets the reaction out of this squad that we've kind of come to expect, and 2 quick-fire goals again.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of a hallmark of the team this year. And it's like, if we do have a setback, they have this ability to go from first gear and then rev it up. And there were a few games at the beginning of the year where we got that back-to-back goal right away and kind of put the other team on the back foot and, sort of put them in their place, with all due respect. And I think that's what we saw today, where, the subs had an immediate impact. I think I was calling for McAllister early on. I think he just brings the tempo that we were missing. I don't think Jones was particularly bad in that first half, but I just think in terms of speeding it up a little bit, getting the right people on the ball, I think McAllister kind of makes that happen. You were saying at halftime, Matt, I'm surprised Darwin didn't come off. I'm now looking back at it and saying,
look, she buried you there, Matt. She buried you there. Just saying.
I'll hold my hand up. I was wrong
in our other show, so I'm not revealing any secrets. But after that little tussle at the end of the first half, I was actually surprised with you that Darwin wasn't one of the ones that got pulled. But he really stepped up in a way that we haven't seen in a little while.
Yeah, it's I'm happy. Like, I'm okay with people being wrong as long as you're willing to put your hand up and say, I was wrong. I haven't seen a lot of the people that were in a lot of our shows around the end of the transfer window, the start of the season, who said, we're never going to win anything because we didn't buy 5 new players. I haven't seen a lot of those people coming into our chats and being like, boy, was I ever wrong? But I was wrong. I wanted Darwin hooked at halftime because I thought for sure he was going to throw a chair at somebody and climb into the crowd and start punching people's heads off and get a red card. Kev, the lineup comes out and it was to be expected. Arne Slot, take him at his word. When he says he's not going to make a ton of changes, he's not going to make a ton of changes. So we get 3 changes. And it was about what I think everybody should have expected, right?
No. I saw that lineup drop. I just thought that's way stronger than it should be. The middle game in the Champions League, in a tough Champions League game, in a tough knockout game, is always a bit of a damp squib. It's very rare that you'll have a really tough first leg of a knockout game, fly into a league game, and then come out the other side and go in hard like you're going to need to, without making a real amount of changes. That 11 was a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be, and it showed at halftime when he made the changes that he made, that he probably realized that. It was flat. The first half was flat. It was slow. It was ponderous. It was everything that you didn't want to see after the game midweek in Paris. It was one of the worst halves of football I've watched this season. He made the changes. I didn't expect him to make changes at halftime. Managers don't like normally doing it, but justified completely in the reaction that he got, because the tempo was up, the fresher legs, the fresher minds. Players come on with a thing to prove as well. Some of them, like in Harvey, and we just moved the ball faster and we were more energetic. I think we always had a level of control in the game. It was one brain fart really. Other than that, they never really did anything much. But yeah, no, I wasn't happy when I saw the lineup drop. I genuinely wasn't. I was just looked at it. I just thought, well, you don't need to be playing the likes of Dominic Szoboszlai in this game. You just don't.
What other changes would you have made?
So I would have started Harvey for sure. I would have started Harvey over Dominic Szoboszlai. And I would have started Kwanzaa over Konate. And yeah, that would have been the changes. That was the lineup that I thought we would see, genuinely. Konate and Virgil the other night might not have looked like, they didn't run a lot, but mentally that would have drained them. That PSG game, mentally, that would have fried their brains. And it'll do it again on Tuesday night. I just think that with the games that they've both got coming up for the Netherlands and France, where neither will get a rest, it was the opportunity to take at least one of them out and use the other one to substitute the second player later on in the game or something. And I understand the reason why he might want to be cautious over Costas. Oh, sorry, not Costas, over Trent and Kwanzaa, because you don't have another right back cover. But in fairness, the squad is pretty full. I was just surprised. I was just genuinely surprised.
You heard Slot in the pre-match talking about how there were basically three finals this week, and he thought that this one was the most important. I do think that, I know some of it is talk and some of it is to get the team to kind of keep their heads, but I do think that they are putting the Premier League as their primary focus.
Yeah, you can't take your eye off the ball. Like, as long as it is mathematically possible to fucking throw this league away, it's highly, highly, highly unlikely. Like, I'm sure the Opta supercomputer has us up to 99% now, but it's not 100%. And I don't think that Arne Slot will risk that. And that's why I wasn't surprised with the lineup. That was about the number of changes that I was expecting. Chris, the half kind of starts how I was expecting us to play, which was take the game to Southampton, 21 players in their half, within 30, 35 yards of their goal. We have a couple of sites at goal early. I feel Curtis Jones probably should score about 5 minutes in. There's lovely interplay. Trent, Mo, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, back to Mo, back to Jones, and he puts it just wide. And then you get the clash of heads with Bednarek and Manning, and there's a long delay in the game, and it kind of takes some of the flow out of the game.
Yeah, those big gaps go one or two ways. There's a big injury. It tends to invigorate one team and sort of kill the other. I think it just seemed to kill Liverpool's momentum, because the first 20 minutes, Liverpool were fine in second gear, but start to create chances, and it felt a little bit of just be a matter of time. And then after the head injury, they just never got going. absolutely never at all. And you kind of just at that point thinking, "Oh, just get to half-time 0-0 and we'll regroup and see what happens." But Virgil had a massive brain fart. Hello to Thomas in the chat, who I bumped into went to watch Runcorn non-league play last weekend. Thomas works on the turnstiles, so he said hello to us. So I said I'd say hello next time in the chat.
Look at this braggart over here going to watch non-league football. Good for you for supporting the grassroots.
Eddie won as well.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. I mean, Ashley, Chris queued us up for it. I mean, there was a few minor moments where we looked like we were showing a little bit more cutting edge that we were very much missing Wednesday in Paris. And you get the board goes up for 5 extra minutes of first half stoppage time because of the long delay when Bednarik had to go off for a head injury. And he did have a head injury, which is why we were able to make 6 substitutions in the game. And then I was telling this to Kev before you joined us on the final 20. They were showing before the game started for me highlights of some of last year's games, and it was Liverpool going to the Emirates last season. And in that game, there's a ball that bounces over the top, and Virgil van Dijk could just kick it out for a throw-in, and he doesn't do that. He kind of half expects Alisson to come for it, and there's a major fuck-up, and Martinelli gets the ball and puts it into the net. And lo and behold, if not the exact same thing happens today.
Yeah.
What happened there, Ashley? Make it make sense.
I wish I could. I don't think that was a very logical scenario. I mean, obviously, Virgil is there. He's trying to hold the ball off. He thinks that Alisson's going to come out and claim it. It's one of those where I think the onus is on Virgil to clear that ball. We've seen this before. It's not just that time at the Emirates. You saw it with the Wolves game where Konate and Alisson had a very similar mix-up. And it was very similar in the sense that, Konate wanted Alisson to come and claim, and they didn't. And there was just this kerfuffle. Virgil should clear it. Just boot it out. It doesn't really matter. Like, kick it into Rosie or Rosette or whatever you guys call it over there. And just get it out of danger. And it was one of those things. There was a push on Ali in the lead up. I think there's a few people that have been saying, is it a foul? Is it not a foul? I thought it was quite soft. I believe it was Fernandez that kind of shoved Ali in the back, and that kind of contributed to just the all-out chaos that was happening in the moment. Again, just another example of why Virgil should just take control and clear. Smallbone is the one that grabs it. I think there was a nutmeg in there as well, and he just puts it in the back of the net. And I think I just put what the hell in our chat. Like, what was that? And it was just kind of the cherry on top of a shit Sunday that was the first half. It was just, it was one of those where you're like, I don't need this right now, especially the fact that we were about to go live in a few minutes. I'm like, this is going to be horrendous. Like, I don't want to be live on camera while watching this. Like, this is the last thing I want to do right now. So I left that first half, and then we have the Darwin incident, which I'm sure you guys are going to go into. Like, when that first half ended, I'm like, thank God, just get into halftime, like clean the slate. Because I don't know, the way we ended that first half, it was like an amateur hour, I guess is the nicest way to put it.
Yeah. I will correct you, Ashley. I've gone back and looked. You said what the actual fuck is what you said in our WhatsApp chat. So don't try to clean it up just because Chris lets his daughter watch this show.
Little kids in the chat and little,
no, it's too. You said shit.
I mean, Ashley, you've already said shit sandwich.
No, shit Sunday.
Shit Sunday, sorry.
Shit Sunday.
Okay, Kat is calling me out. I apologize, Kat.
So actually, I've got to be honest. Olivia here is much worse when I'm watching football. So to be honest, this is quite mild.
So all the words have been used. I was unhappy. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, you haven't used all the words yet.
I haven't, but the last word is being saved for the end.
Kev, feel free to talk us through what your thoughts were on the aforementioned shit Sunday. And also Darwin at the end of the half, because I thought he was a dead cert to pick up a second yellow card. Like, he just looked like his head was gone at that point. But you can expect Darwin's head to be gone because he's that type of person. You don't expect that from Virgil van Dijk and Alisson Becker.
No, look, and it's the one thing you can level at Virgil. He's really, really cautious when it comes to stuff like that. How many times have you seen a ball going down the line? And he'll just hoof it. He'll just put it out of play and reset. And he does it almost all the time. That was his decision. That was all him. That was nothing to do with Alisson whatsoever. Alisson was too far away for it to be able to come to get it in the first place. The ball was going too slow. He had a thing earlier on where he allowed the ball to run out for a goal kick. And the ball, like, it got there in the end. But this one was just brain dead stupid, you know, and it could have cost us 3 points. On another day, that against a better side, a decision like that will cost you 3 points. But saying that, against a better side, he doesn't take that risk. I'm convinced of that. Against a better side, he doesn't take liberties like that. And it was lazy and arrogant and stupid. And any adjective you want to use, it was that. on toast. It was ridiculous. But look, he did it. And it goes at the other end. Then you see the thing with Darwin where he just lashes out at I don't know who the hell it was. He lashes out at
Kyle Walker-Peters.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it would have been a red card if he caught him with his foot.
He didn't really make contact though.
He caught him with his thigh. And it wasn't an attempt to play the ball. It was lazy. He knew what he was doing.
It was just petulance, wasn't it?
It was petulance, arrogance, call it what you like. It was frustration. And I completely understand the frustration because, you know, whatever about the stick that he gets, forwards get stick for missing chances. Normally, the defenders don't make those kind of mistakes and put you in trouble in the first place. So I can understand the level of frustration that was there from him. But yeah, I'm glad halftime happened when it did because. But then again, look, when he got the yellow, he looked like he calmed down. He looked like he calmed down as soon as he got the yellow.
To be fair to Darwin, apart from his straight red when he headbutted someone.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Whenever he normally gets an early yellow, he's pretty good at keeping himself away from the second yellow. I think the only time he's come really close to one was probably when Brentford when he scores 2, gets a yellow for taking a shirt off, and he does catch one with a late tackle, and it is a late tackle.
The only thing I say
that's the one where that's where he was lucky, I would say.
Go back a minute. That Will Smallbone finish was a lovely goal.
Oh, very good finish.
The composure, and he gave everyone the eyes and slots it in. It was a really, really tidy finish. And I think they were saying it was, I don't know if it was his first or second goal. He hasn't scored many, but he's a really nice footballer in the eye. You know, if you give him time and space on the ball, he's a really nice footballer in the eye. And it's a shame that I don't think he'll be playing Premier League football next season because for Ireland, we definitely need more players playing in the Premier League, not less. But I think it was a really good goal from their point of view, a perfect time because, look, all our commentary team was saying, yeah, it's deserved, this is that. Was it though?
I deserved. I think it was like, because it's such a flat start, you believe yourself into a bit of a. It kind of summed up probably like the flat performance, a bit of a brain fart. So you kind of.
It does, but I mean, at the end of the day, mate, we had 3/4 of possession of the ball. We had more shots. The only frustration for me in that first half is we didn't work Ramsdale. You know, we only really had 2 shots on target, and none of them looked threatening. So it's like, and even if you look back at the game as a whole, yes, we won 3-1. Very nice. Thank you very much. We scored 1 goal from open play against a side who are shelling goals for fun. You know, and I don't think we really carved open glaring chances today.
We've had a hard time against them this year, to be fair, though.
Yeah,
like,
we have.
All 3 of the games have been more eventful than most other Southampton games, I guess is what I'll say. Like, you saw them play against Chelsea last week. It was pretty clear cut. For some reason, I think stylistically there's a bit of a clash there, which is not an excuse at all. We should be, you know, doing this in a much easier fashion. But every single one of the games has been kind of like this, where it's a little bit nervy.
Yeah, it's Kev getting pulled up by some in the chat here. Mad Apple pointing out our XG was over 4. Owen Newell saying we had a lot of chances, 8 big chances in the game. I mean, depending on how you measure that, we did, and we end up taking the chances, and by putting that pressure on is what earns you the opportunity to get the 2 penalties given to you. I mean, maybe not the Sugawara one, which is just, I mean, madness, and we'll absolutely get there in time, but Yeah, it was another one of those halftimes. This is 2 games in a row where it was like, holy shit, get to halftime, get to halftime, get to halftime. And we get to halftime. It's 1-0 down. We are at halftime, so I will point out, I don't know why Madge's one comment didn't come up. Madge Apple pointing out that Ashley can say whatever the fuck she wants because today is International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day to all the women out there. It is a very good holiday. A nice win for the Reds on International Women's Day, which is always good. I will point out as well, too, because of our fantastic chat in here, we are moving over to Patreon in 10 days. So if you are a YouTube member, don't renew your account. Move on over to Patreon. Download the Patreon app. Search Talkin Kop on there. You'll see some of the new shows. I'm thinking of this because I'm noticing in the background that the Brentford versus Aston Villa game has just kicked off. And yesterday, one of the new shows that we're doing because we have the ability to on Patreon, it's called The High Five, where Gav and Conan from the Villa Pod went through 5 of his favorite moments from watching Aston Villa, and it's such a great show. And I can't wait to see more fans from different other clubs come on and have a chat with Gav about some of their favorite moments from football. But because it's behind a paywall and it's not being broadcast, we're able to use live clips and show things that go along with it. So hopefully we've also got another good process coming out this Monday. I'm sure the referees this weekend will give us plenty to talk about in terms of being absolutely horrible. Credit where it's due today. The ref in our game, I thought, was actually pretty good.
Very young, isn't he? Isn't he like one of the
Very
youngest refs
young.
in the league?
Yeah. He's
13 months. He's been in the top flight.
yeah. So I've never seen him
Anfield really well.
Yeah.
The best you can say about him is, apart from he gets 2 big decisions right, and other than that, you generally didn't notice he was in the game, which is kind of what a referee should be.
Exactly.
It's so novel.
Kev, what you said about Wishbone saying he'll probably win the Premier League this year, he feels like the sort of player in the summer you see someone like a Palace or a Brighton or a Brentford pick up, and you go, that's a smart bit of business. And then they're the sort of club that seem to have a nice habit of picking off those sort of players who are like either playing for a decent championship level club or one has just been relegated, and they just need to turn them to the next level. Matt, you're showing your age there, saying, is he a dog?
Small bone.
Small bone.
Wishbone, close. But yeah, no, I think he's good. He's a good player. It wouldn't surprise me if someone like that picked him up in the summer. I thought he was quite good, actually.
I just want to come to this comment there from Johnny a second because he's pulling me up a bit here, and that's fine. I don't mind that. 8 of our starters were playing against one of the best teams in the continent, while Southampton players were probably chilling at home and probably watching as well. I'd been surprised if they weren't, but I don't really care. That's the job. That's the job.
But is that also goes to why you thought there would be more changes in the lineup?
Yes.
Yes. I think that's. Also, I think both sides who play Southampton, I was quickly just checking the fixtures. The first game was straight after international break, and this was straight after a Champions League game. So again, games of Champions League games are always a bit.
Something's going on over there with that.
Something's going over there. Yeah. Matt's having a.
I don't know how Brentford having
a seizure live on camera.
Right. They can be a nightmare of a game. These middle games in Champions League fixtures, but it's part and parcel of this time of the season, and it's not like we don't have experienced players in the squad. All of them would have been involved in the Europa League last year. All of them know what knockout football is all about. So and we keep saying this side is better when they have rhythm. They're playing, every three days, and that's true. We generally are, but we're also getting to that part of the season where you're 2/3 in. They have got mileage on the legs now. They will be feeling it a bit. And that PSG game, I'm convinced, will have taken more out of players than they'll care to admit, because what they went through the other night in Paris will have soaked up their legs in a way that they're not used to. Doesn't happen often, So it's it all goes to really why I think there should have been more changes from the start. But look at this, it's nitpicking, because look, we got the result, and we definitely had a performance. When you look at the stats will tell you we had a really good performance. So like 75% possession in the first half, more or less the same in the second half. It's not really much of a difference in it, but it still feels like, to me, we made harder work of that than it needed to be. Or am I fucking looking at this all wrong? I don't know.
No, I know where you come from. I think we did make it a bit hard for me to. I'm with you, as in I was expecting a few more changes just to freshen up, because you would think when you spent, let's be honest, we spent 87 minutes chasing the ball. We barely got out our half in that PSG game. Look, that's the game. You got to go with what's needed there. So that's why I was surprised, like you said, a Kwanzaa and a Elliott probably didn't get a run out, and maybe that's why someone like a sub like I took off a half time and a Joe and maybe just more subs like thinking like, yeah, he's too knackered. We probably should have rested him, But touch wood, and I am touching wood. I think that's Konate's 22nd start now this season.
Yeah,
and that's going to be that's a big win in the column for the medical team.
Yeah, to me, that's a don't mention the war moment.
I know, but we've been saying that all season.
It's all your fault.
It's fine. It could be my fault. But we've said all season, we can't do back to back with Konate, and he's done a lot of back to backs now. So,
So I think the load management that the fitness staff is doing, and I talked about this on the last 20, where the Feyenoord team is going through an unprecedented injury crisis now that all of those staff transferred over to Liverpool, and they were known last year as being one of the fittest teams in the Dutch league and also just kind of in Europe. And it seems like it really was down to the fitness team, because what they're able to do with our team and a lot of our players that have maybe been dubbed injury prone in the past, they're really working with them on a level that we've never seen before. I think they look leaner. I think they look, a little bit less muscular. And I think Kev mentioned this the other day as well. It just seems like their physique has changed and the way that they're preparing for games has changed. So again, credit where credit is due there. Just a little shout out to them.
Yeah, it's the Naby Keita Alexander Oxlade-Chamberlain Memorial Treatment Bed has been sitting empty, thankfully, this year.
Well, we'll go that far. Jota still kept it warm most of the season, to be fair.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Thor is just wondering though about low energy Liverpool if Klopp took all the magic inhalers with him. Yeah, I forgot about the inhalers.
Do you remember inhaler chat when that was a thing?
That can be in the new advent calendar. The inhaler.
We haven't done that for a while.
I know.
No, I think we're gonna have an Easter egg hunt. I think we're gonna have an Easter egg.
We can throw the inhalers in there. It'll be great.
We're gonna have an Easter egg.
Here's a task for you. Can you create a part of the bar crawl around Liverpool for the last game of the season? You got to build the excuse into the bar crawl.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like you could probably do that as well.
I'll have to think about it. Luckily, I've got a couple of months to ruminate on that. I mean, okay, we get to halftime. Again, I'll hold my hand up. I'll say I was just screaming for Darwin to get hooked because I thought he was terrible. Kev, I believe you said in our little WhatsApp chat at halftime, we're saying there's going to be subs. He's not going to make subs.
Yeah, I didn't think he would.
Subs at halftime.
Yeah, I didn't think he would.
Listen, I'll hold my hand up. I was screaming for that Diaz to go off. I thought Darwin was okay. I thought Diaz was atrocious first half. As in, there was literally a moment where someone passed the ball, he's not even looking, and it hits the back of his heels. He's like, "Oh, there's the ball there." I was generally waiting.
That was a good break.
Yeah, so I was generally waiting for him to go off, and lo and behold, shows what you and me both know, Matt, because we're both involved in the goal.
I genuinely just think, in general, his link-up play, I think Robertson knows where he's going to be, and I think the passing just looks like a little bit more deliberate. Tsimikas is fine. He does a job, but I just feel like the way that they interchange just doesn't feel quite as fluid.
Yeah, it's more forced.
Yeah. Well, so we get the swap at left back. Robertson gets a 45 minutes off, comes on for the second half for Tsimikas. Elliott gets, I would say, rewarded for his contribution in Paris with the late goal. Comes on for Curtis Jones, and McAllister comes on for Szoboszlai. I guess those subs might be actually flipped around. Elliott for Szoboszlai, McAllister for Jones. And I don't even know where I'm at. Let's go with Chris. Darwin Nunez from Luis Diaz, two players who, if we were in charge, wouldn't have been on the pitch. Finally, Luis Diaz decides to square his man up, take him on, drives him to the byline, and cuts the ball back in. Very much an old school Man City style goal. And Darwin Nunez doing the right thing at the right time. Big moment. He's not going to score 20 goals for us. But if he scores a couple of these, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's nothing better than a player who hasn't played well, then scores the opening goal. You go, fair enough. I can live with that. Diaz should do that more. He's very comfortable. Although he likes to cut inside to shoot in a strong foot, he's very good at going down that byline and causing problems. He doesn't do it enough because that settles the perfect thing for a number 9. Even Darwin, as we saw, can't miss from there. He tries his best sometimes, but to be fair, it's a really good finish. You went, right, cool. That's what he did. And I think for Darwin, although he hasn't got many goals this year, I think we go through his goals, because there aren't many of them. It's the winner at Brentford plus the second goal. It's the opener against Southampton in the Cup. It's the equaliser today. So he doesn't get many goals for us, but it feels like when he does, they tend to matter. And I can sort of live with that. He's not quite Origi. He hasn't quite got the coldness of an Origi. But listen, credit where credit's due. You're like, right, 1-1. And then you expect Liverpool to kick on because, look, at half-time, I was disappointed we were 1-0 down, but I wasn't particularly worried because I still think Liverpool's got plenty to turn it round. And the subs did that. It gives a bit more energy. Elliott was very direct, probably ran with it more, which is not normally Elliott's game. He's more of a 1-2 sort of midfielder. But to be fair to him, he just got the ball and he drove with it a lot. And it just gave us a bit of a different impetus. So made up for Darwin and made up for Diaz as well because they got involved.
Yeah, Livy Love Cats YT saying Nunez goals are really good and helpful, but we just need him to score more. I think that might be your favorite player. I don't know. But I mean,
I think Salah's a favorite. Actually, Salah and Virgil are top 2.
I just need to point something out really quickly before we get on to the Mo Salah penalty hour. I have finally found the opportunity to start watching Doubters to Believers, and I've got the first 2 episodes in last night, and it is fantastic. But I can't help but notice that in the scene where Mo Salah is going through his onboarding medical with Liverpool, that he had no abs. So it feels like every year he scores 20 or more goals, he gets 2 more abs. And that's why he's got like 40 abs now.
Not that you wish it on it. It's not that you wish it, but ever since Ramos pulled his shoulder out, it's almost like something in his head went, I need to get physically more strong and dominant to cope at that elite level.
Yeah.
He's talked about that.
Every year he's just made every part of his body, 0% body fat pretty much. So basically, it's almost like to say, if a Ramos tries that again, he's not going to be able to pull the shoulder out because nothing can pull it.
He's spoken openly about
fair play
that.
to him.
He's spoken about how, when he first came to the Premier League, he had, I forget who it was. There was a tackle that he was in. And I think it might have been when he was playing with Chelsea. But he basically said, I myself need to bulk up. There's no way that I'm going to be able to compete in this league without gaining the physical strength. And he talked a little bit about relishing that challenge and really building his strength so that he could compete with the big defenders. He knew that he had the skills in terms of dribbling and in terms of pace, but to get that was a personal journey for him. There's some great interviews out there. I'll have to look into the quotes and bring some into the shows because they are just very enlightening.
Yeah. But yeah, I just had to mention it because I was watching it and it was just like first off, he definitely got the hair lasered off of his chest, but he's got a million abs and he looks like a
Marvel his head,
hero. So
whoever did that hair transplant, 10 out of 10.
They took it off of his chest and put it onto his head, and it looks absolutely fantastic. But I mean, Ashley, I have it down as 51 minutes for the first goal and 52 minutes. I just have penalty written in gigantic scribbly letters. Will Smallbone, from hero to zero, kicks through the back of Darwin Nunez. I'm going to do this slightly out of order because it is absolutely relevant to it. You got a quote here from Sam Watterson of Law and Order fame, who's now coaching Southampton. Even Juric saying, this cannot be a penalty ever. I'm sorry it happened because it was 1-1 and it changed the match a little bit. We have lots of young players who want to grow up and improve. That's fine if you have young players that want to grow and improve.
Can't kick people.
You still can't kick through the back of Darwin Nunez's legs, though, can you, Ashley?
I don't think he's a young player. Apologies if he is,
He's I think he's 25.
Okay. So young player is 21 and under. 25, you should know not to kick people in the back of the legs.
It's panic.
It is panic.
Yeah,
and I get it. Darwin is a big guy. I wouldn't want to be a defender against him either. Olivia is saying that she's a defender. I'm sure someone like Darwin would probably terrify Olivia to play against. Even the best
She'd take him
defenders
out. She'd take him out, to be honest.
Maybe. You know what? That's right. Olivia would take him out. in a cleverer way than Smallbone, though. She would not give away a penalty. But I think that's a penalty all day. I mean, they did check it. It went to VAR, it went through the process, blah, 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 blah. But again, like, it's Nunez contributing. It's Nunez contributing again to an important moment. He's had a pretty good week. I think, like Madge said, he has had a pretty good week. And I mean, Mo steps up, hasn't had his best game, hasn't been as influential, and he still does Mo Salah things. I mean, that goal was his 26th in the Premier League. That was 31 overall. It took him into the third place in overall goal scorers for Liverpool in front of Hodgson. And I believe it let him equal Aguero. And then the second one actually let him beat Aguero in the all-time goal scorers list. So again, not a great game, but still just breaking records on a daily basis. So I don't know. And also his penalties are just, they're hit with power. There's no more like dribbly into the corner shit. Like it's conviction. And I appreciate that when I watch him, because there was a period of time where it was a little bit too clever. And I appreciate the no nonsense approach.
Yeah, the no stuttery, prancy pony.
That should be illegal. That should go into room 101.
Hey,
I hate
that. Was my suggestion for it, was getting rid of the stuttery, run up for it. The Hollander Ultra pointing out that Olivia might need the defensive skills to protect your dad, Chris Brack, from your mom when she finds out you were on the Naughty Word podcast. I did say before we started that we'd be happy to just swap Olivia out for Chris, and she can just come on and do the show with us. But that might be a bridge. Might be a bridge too far. Another out of order quote, but Ashley led right into it perfectly. Salah on joining Sergio Aguero as 5th in the all-time Premier League goal scoring chart. I knew about the record. I didn't think about it while I was playing. It is a good record to equal. Sergio is a legend. Of course, Mo Salah knew about the record, Kev. Yeah. You're not a fan of the left footers on penalties, Kev, but
yeah, give me the heebie-jeebies. Can't help it. But he's gotten very good at it. And you see the angle from behind. He curls that and it just knocks in off the post. And it was actually a really good height for Ramsdale, but even at full stretch, he's not getting that. That was and it was hit with pace. It was a really well taken pen. And you go from 1-0 down at halftime, you inject real pace. You inject, and it's not pace running at players. Yeah, Diaz ran at his fullback. It's pace and intensity with the pass, where you're passing. It's movement off the ball, and that alone creates panic, and that's where the penalty came from. It was basically they're in the middle, they're in the box. He's about to get a shot off. Shit, panic, and that's all it was. There wasn't much in the contact. It's not like he side through him or anything, but it's a foul. And it's one of those ones that forwards will play for, and hope that the contact comes. And if you're stupid enough to make the contact, then you get what you deserve. And I can understand the frustration coming from the Southampton manager's side, but it was the fact that they've given away the lead, and then 2 minutes later your brain is fried already. It is a pen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He slots it away really well. And then we not go back into our shell, but we go back into managing the game again. It's because I was hoping that for 10 minutes, we just kept that intensity up. Just keep that intensity up for 10 minutes, get a third, get a fourth, and relax. But it was literally, we got the 2-1 and we just kept the ball again, managed the game. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you get the result. As long as you get the result, you can manage the game however you like. But yeah, we managed it out really well. Made the changes when he wanted to make them as well. Wasn't forced into anything. It was literally just see things out, and that's ended up. The scoreline got a bit of a fluffing at the end, but that's what it was. It was a professional second half performance. Did what we needed to do, got the goals when we needed to get them, and then managed the performance out, and take the 3 points. And as you said, over to Arsenal. But
yeah, well, and somebody's pointed out, of course, Arsenal play 3 more times before we play Everton next, because of course we have a small matter of a League Cup final next weekend at Wembley, which I am absolutely looking forward to, but a game on Tuesday to get there first. But I like what you're saying there, Kev, about how, because it did feel like after it went 2-1, you get the 2 quick fire goals, you know that they're rocking. Like, you've dazed them like a boxer there that got caught, right in the temple. They're there for the killing, and you got to go for it. But it just feels like Arne Slot and the leadership core in the team have the confidence that once we have that lead, we are good enough against 17 out of 20 teams in the league, sort of thing, to just take that 1-goal lead and just hold you off. And we don't need that extra goal. We can just be calm and in control, because if you look at it, they got their goal because we fucked up.
Yeah.
Chris, you talk about fucking up and you talk about wanting to have that extra goal cushion, and cometh the hour, cometh the Sugawara, he does it again. He loves a handball against Liverpool, because that was a handball.
It was. I mean, you guys who were chatting, it flashed up on my phone. He's going to the monitor. And I was looking at, and on my screen, I'd only just seen the tackle. I was thinking, like, is that tackle that bad for a penalty? And then it came up to the look at the handball, and as soon as you see the replay, it's not subtle.
Not even close.
I think that's what you do in MMA if you want to get him in the head. Sure, you should watch UFC tonight, because he could use that move. And I love the look of shock on his face, like, what? Why has that been given? I'm like, oh, it's the most obvious penalty you've ever seen. And of course, I saw on social media Arsenal fans went ballistic, which made it even better. And most second penalties went, I'll go to the other corner with power, catch that if you can. And it was quite relaxed. It was nice relaxed 10 minutes then. So perfect time to score. But funny, honestly, I think Emmett put in the other show. Sugawara just wants and his Japanese captain Endo to get a winner's medal, because he's helped him out twice there.
Yeah, Sam Tandy saying the same thing. Sugawara is a red, isn't he? Gave us a penalty at St. Mary's too. Done it for his Japanese captain Endo. It's absolutely fantastic. It was one of the most obvious handballs I've ever seen. Like, if you can give a red card for a deliberate handball, and you go, well, how can you judge when a handball is deliberate? When a guy's looking at the ball and it's bouncing up and he swings his elbow towards it.
Yeah. You can always hear the inner monologue of, fuck it, I'll get away with this.
I think the only thing that we're looking at, when you slowed it right down, Diaz has a little nip at his top. But when you play it at normal speed, it's just a brush. It's not enough for him to make that kind of action. It was, do you know what? That's the kind of thing you get away with pre-VAR.
Yeah.
Pre-VAR, if the linesman is on the far side and the referee's vision is obscured or anything like that, you'll get away with that, because the ref ain't going to guess at it. Yeah, and in fairness, the match referee today didn't see it. So it was what VAR is designed to bring in for, is to help the referee who obviously didn't see it.
And you wouldn't see it, because
he couldn't see it.
We all thought at first they would look at the tackle.
Yeah, and in fairness, I'm glad it wasn't the tackle, because look, there was a couple of them in the game today. Yeah, there was a couple of them in the game today where you had two players going 50-50 for the ball. You win some, you lose some. As long as you start it down and you know when someone's making an attempt to play on the ball and when someone's going over the top. It wasn't that. It was, the ball was there to be won, and he won it. And it's like, when you look back at it there, when you see the replay and they say, oh, they're looking for handball, and then they show the handball, you're like, you have to give that. You just have to. Yeah.
When they start looking at the offside, you're like, well, they obviously know it's the pen then. They're just making sure.
They're just making sure.
Every box is ticked before they give it.
Yeah, that was one of the quicker VAR reviews you could see, because when we were on the final 20 watching it live, and we were all kind of slightly different times. Like, Ashley was about 2-3 seconds ahead of me, and I was a couple seconds ahead of Kev, and Chris was somehow 15 minutes ahead of all of us, and most of the people in the chat were a good couple minutes ahead of us. But they showed one replay, and it shows them elbow it, and then it's checking the offside, and it's like, oh shit, they're giving this. Like, it was very quick, and it's how it should work when it's that obvious. I'm going to run through some quotes here. While I do that, I'm going to tell everybody to quick think about who you would like to nominate for Player of the Game, honorable mention, and should do better, because this one is not nearly as easy as the last time we did it, and it was quite clearly an Allison Becker gets the Man of the Match Player of the Game award. But here are our quotes, courtesy of Ashley. Thank you very much, Ashley. Salah on the halftime team talk. A bit of frustration. The manager's head was going for us. First half, we were sloppy and slow. If you want to win the Premier League or Champions League, you have to win that type of game. Could have said that after Wednesday's game as well, too. On Darwin Nunez, Mo Salah says, I'm always there talking to him because sometimes his head is gone, but he's really important. We need him. You saw him against PSG. He was really important, making a difference. I mean, that's most things I've heard out loud.
It's gone. I love it.
Although I must admit, the funniest thing I've ever seen was when we beat Real Madrid 2-0 and Darwin had to calm Mo down from trying to kill the left back, which is just that's
Mo
very
had
unusual.
to hold Darwin back today, because he was going to go in after that yellow card at halftime. He was going to go and complain. He could have quite easily gotten a second yellow for just
that's why he goes.
defense.
That's why he goes to the gym. That's why he does the gym so much, Ash, just so he can hold Darwin.
Just to hold back Darwin.
That's a lot. That's a lot of man to hold back.
Instead of instead of doing those weights that you push, they just hold on to Darwin as part of the exercise plan.
The resistance bands are just Darwin going to headbutt somebody. Yeah. After the match, Harvey Elliott says, it was an intense game, especially with the travel. We only had one day to prepare for this game, and hats off to Southampton. They made it tough throughout the whole game. We need to keep winning games. It's as simple as that. It's about taking it game by game and making sure we apply ourselves in the best possible way. Sam Waterston also said they reacted really well. We had really good moments of the first half. I think the first penalty was not a penalty, and that changed the match. I'm satisfied with how we played today. Of course, this is Ivan Juric, the Southampton head coach, not Sam Waterston, the Hollywood actor, but they look so much alike. I just can't not think of them as the same person. And just going to point out, you've still got 9 points. So, yeah, you played well, but you've got 9 points, and you are definitely going down. Slot was asked what he said to his players at halftime. I didn't give them compliments at halftime, let me tell you. The energy levels were far too low. That's why we made 3 substitutions. That's why I made the 3 subs to bring in quality and to create. It was the only thing I could come up with. On Darwin Nunez, Arne Slot says, I brought him off because he was on a yellow, but I don't like taking off players who can score a goal. I took a risk leaving him on. I took Costas off for that reason too. And then Arne Slot pointing out there's a reason why Maka is a World Cup winner. Yes, Alexis McAllister is absolutely outstanding. On Dominic Szoboszlai, Arne Slot says, it was maybe the first time this season I saw different energy from him. Maybe I made a mistake. The good thing is he only played 45, so is more rested for the rest of the week. Arnie saying Harvey came in really strong and continues. It's always a difficult decision not to start Harvey, not to start Wata. Today he had a good impact on the game. Again on Elliott, he says he got 45 minutes after doing so well in Paris. If I could do today over, I would have started differently. Talking about the missing Cody Gakpo, Slot says, if he had been available, I would have had him with us, which is not a great sign for the availability of Cody Gakpo for the PSG second leg coming up on Tuesday. Kev, I'm going to come to you first.
Hey.
Who do you like for player of the game?
I don't know.
Thanks, Kev. Thanks for coming.
This is why we don't come to you first more often.
It's one of those because nobody was outstanding. Nobody was outstanding. You can make an argument for 4 or 5 of them playing well. I'm gonna give it to someone who I think had a very good game. I'd give it to Trent. I think he won. I think he won all of his tackles. His passing was really good. I think he got forward. He held that midfield position really well. Created a couple of chances as well. But I think the winger that he was up against today is really quick, really good, tricky, just poor decision making for his final ball. But he gave him a test, so he had to be aware of that while being in that midfield role and getting forward as well. I think overall, over the 90+ minutes, I thought he had a really good day. It's honourable mention, Harvey Elliott. And I hate giving it to players who don't start. But Harvey Elliott, I think, impacted that game today and injected pace into what we were trying to do and changed the start of that first 15 minutes. That first 15 minutes of the second half, a lot of it, I think, was down to him and his work rate. And could do better. It's not his fault, but Szoboszlai looked leggy in a big way, but it's not his fault. He shouldn't have been involved in that.
Yeah. Chris, we'll come to you next. We'll just go around the horn here in clockwise motion.
Man of the match.
See what I mean?
As bad as he was, you'd have to say Darwin, because he gets the equaliser and he sets up and he gets the penalty that makes us go 2-1 up. So he was involved in the two big decisive moments of the game. Although his overall game was a bit meh, it's probably Darwin. Honourable mentions, Trent and Elliott. I thought both of them were very good, and could do better. I think it's the captain. I think he was just generally a bit sloppy. He was sloppy for the goal, and I just thought in general he was just a little bit below his level. But you can't be perfect every week.
Dan Austin, in reaction to the quotes, saying Slot is turning into Cher today. If I could turn back time, I'm not going to sing.
He's jealous of Cher's hair, that's for sure.
Ashley, who are your 3 nominees, please?
I mean, I don't think that I think the Nunez shout is actually pretty fair. But in an effort to
killing Matt inside this.
What?
It's killing Matt inside this.
I mean, I do think that he was kind of at the center of all the crimes. I mean, minus the goal that we gave away. I think just seeing him come in after having quite a few games where he hasn't had the impact he's wanted to. I mean, he did well in Paris for his little cameo, but to have the mental fortitude to come in, and I thought he worked back and tracked back really well in the first half. I actually thought he did a lot of defensive work, way more defensive work than offensive work for sure. And then again, just to kind of keep his head, keep his cool, not get a second yellow card. I think he deserves his flowers today. I don't think he was spectacular, but I think that he was the one that kind of pushed us over the line. So credit where credit is due there. I think honorable mention is a toss-up for me between McAllister and Endo. I think Endo, does Endo things at the end of the game, and he shuts it down. I think McAllister really is the one that created the momentum that we needed in this game. I think he's the tempo setter, and I think we really miss the tempo when he's not there. And even though he didn't really do any spectacular things, I think he's the one that got the rhythm up the way it needed to go in the second half.
It's an underrated skill that McAllister has, which is to set tempo, because not a lot of players can do it. They can play to whatever tempo is done, but to change a tempo of a game isn't easy. So
I think it's not the most glamorous job on the pitch. And I think that, if you're looking for a highlight reel, you're not going to look back on this and be like, oh my God, McAllister. I just think that you saw him knitting play together in a way that, just wasn't happening in the first half. And someone in the chat just said McAllister, the puppeteer. And it does very much feel like that. Like he is pulling the strings. And I think, I just think we miss him when he's gone. So I'm going to give him the honorable mention. Could do better. I don't know. I mean, I think just across the board, I would have liked to have seen a team performance that was a little bit better. I think Chris is right. I think it goes to Virgil. I think he's the one that should be setting the tone. And if the team is walking out thinking we're going to stick in like first gear and we're not really going to expend too much energy, whether it's true or not that it's Virgil's fault, I think that, it comes back to the captain at the end of the day, where it's like you have to be the one that pushes the team that little bit extra. And I think that the way that he handled that kind of kerfuffle was just sort of indicative of it being a sleepy performance and just like not necessarily being as turned on as I wanted everyone to be. So that's what I'm going to go with.
All right. I think those are all reasonable things to say. I mean, Chris, it's strange seeing you say that about McAllister, because I'm pretty sure you've been told the same as I have that he's just a squad player and not very good at all. It's I think
the phrase was dog shite was the exact phrase.
Yeah, and should be sold. Yeah,
should be sold. Then he might be a squad player. To me, McAllister is very Gini Wijnaldum. Gini Wijnaldum got an awful lot of shit, and then when he wasn't playing, everyone went, fuck, we need Gini Wijnaldum in this game. That's what we're missing.
Same as Jordan Henderson. But I think Ashley kind of hit the nail on the head that he's not a highlight reel type player. But if you watch the games, you're like, because I've said it multiple times on here, this summer in the Copa America, which I watched a ton of because Canada was involved in it, and we did quite well. But he was outstanding for Argentina. He was their best player, but he was not on. If you watch a 3-minute highlight pack of any of their games, he's not in any of those highlights because the work that he does is to facilitate the highlight reel players. And you need players like that, piano carriers, water carriers, whatever you want to call them today. Yeah, Paul Kinnear is wondering that Liverpool used 6 subs today. Wonder what will happen. There's been some calls from North London that we get a 90-point deduction or something along those lines, which is.
Did you see Mo actually going to the sideline saying, "Don't make the sub, don't make the sub"? Like someone had to explain to him what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
Yeah.
I mean,
there
I don't.
is an exception that happened today because of the head.
Yeah, because Bednarik went off.
That's why the 6th sub happened.
Yeah.
It's very rare. We don't see it very often.
I don't think you're allowed to make an extra substitution. Like, I think the 4th official would stop that. I don't think the 4th official would let you make the sub and then like give a penalty away or something like that. Like, it's not like, American football in that sense. My nominees, I'm going to do them in reverse order. The could do better, I think, has to be Virgil van Dijk, just simply because he's at the scene of a horrible, horrible crime, and we've seen him do that sort of thing a couple of times. The good thing about it is that it's usually like a once every 60 games thing for Virgil. So he should be good until about this time next season. Honorable mention, I think it has to be Harvey Elliott. Just the change that he brought on when he came on at halftime just changed everything up and just allowed Trent and Mo to have a little bit more space and freedom by taking up different positions for them. And my man of the match, I'm going to give it to Alisson because he was so fucking good on Wednesday that he deserves man of the match in 2 games in a row, even if he didn't have to do anything. He was so good against PSG because there really was no obvious standout, I don't think. And apparently I have an agenda against Darwin Nunez, so I cannot give it to him. So I'm going to give it to Alisson because he was so good in Paris on Wednesday. We've had a few people ask what our thoughts are for what the outcome will be for PSG at Anfield. I'm almost certain we'll be doing a preview show on that, presumably Monday leading up to it. I will not be on it. It's pretty hard to bet against Liverpool winning at Anfield. Ashley, do you have the stat off the top of your head? How many games in a row is that of 2 or more goals scored at Anfield?
I wish I
25.
had that. Good job. I do not have it, and you're there to save me. Thank you.
No, it's only because they mentioned it in commentary. It's either 25 or 26.
I think it's only 3 games in the league all season. We've not scored 2 or more.
Yeah, it is. I believe it's 175 days since we lost a game in the Premier League. So, I mean, there's definitely some incredible records going on. I think it's going to be a real tough game. I don't think it's going to be too different in approach from PSG's perspective. I think they're going to be very, very adventurous. I think they're going to go for that early goal. I think, we have to keep them quiet. For us, I don't think it's going to be quite as, I'd like to hope it's not going to be quite as disjointed. I think, our midfield and our forward players are going to have better days than what they had in Paris. And if that happens, I think that there's going to be chances in the counter. But I don't expect an easy game by any means. I think that's going to be a really, really tight game. We're going to need Anfield. We're going to need a really strong reception from the crowd. I'm sure that there's going to be buses and things happening. Hopefully everything stays kosher, like no bottles being thrown at the buses. But I hope that there is.
That's only for Man City. Welcome. That's only Man City we do that too.
As Sam Tandy's going with, I think Liverpool will have more shots in the first 10 minutes versus PSG than we did at PSG away. And they will be in for a shock, in my opinion. Liverpool will be on fire.
I hope so.
Yeah, I said it on the post-match show. It'd be pretty hard to see us being that bad again.
I mean, they did rest 8 of their starters today. So even though they had a league game, they can do that in a way that we can't. So they will be well rested.
Well, that's League One, bro.
Well,
you had a
saying all of that. They won 4-1 away at Rennes, and Rennes had 3 efforts in the first half. In the second half, they had 12 when they went for it, and it ended up PSG got 2 late goals in injury time. That game was a 2-1 for a long time, and then Dembele got 2 late goals in injury time to make the scoreline look better than what it was. I think anything's possible in this game. Anything is possible. I think if you give them too much space to run in behind you, they'll crucify you. But if you leave space between the lines like we did, then they've got the technical ability to cut through you as well. I mean, we have to be really on it. It's got to be, I think, Ashley, it could be more of the same. You got to think, we are 1-up. It's up to them to make the game. You know, they have to score twice on the night to go through. So, unless it goes to penalties, nobody wants that. So,
Kev, don't put that in the world. Shh. God's sake.
Yeah,
I just think it'll be really tight.
Show it an hour, and Kev wouldn't have said crazy shit like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be tight, but it'll be. I think they'll let. By the looks, I can only go on this game and the stats that I'm reading, and I think they'll analyze the living daylights out of the stats on this because Ren had an XG of 1.75 in this, so it looks like they really went to town on the counter and had good chances. And Stad Ren are mid-table. Mid-table.
Yeah, well, you want to know who's not mid-table, Kev? Damn fucking Reds. Them Reds are not who are mid-table. I mean, I want to wrap it up on that because that feels like a nice bow, but I like these stats so much. And there's two here from Ashley. Salah's been involved in 44 Premier League goals this season, 27 goals, 17 assists, the joint most by a player in a 38-game season, with only Cole in 92-93 and Shearer in 94-95 involved in more. And Luis Suarez had what is regarded as one of the best Premier League seasons of all time in 13-14 when he registered 42 goal involvements. And Mo now has 44 goal involvements this season. And we have as many games to go as Suarez was suspended at the start of that season. So it meshes up quite nicely there at the front. But yes, thanks everybody for joining us. As Olivia's pointed out in the chat there, please hit the like button for us. Follow us if you want to. Also, if you like the stuff that we're doing here on the show with the free shows on YouTube, or if you've been a YouTube member, please consider popping on over to Patreon and checking it out. March 18th is when that kicks off officially, when everything moves over from YouTube memberships to Patreon memberships. You can get a week free to test things out there. I get the strangest feeling that if you give us the week that you're going to end up signing up for your monthly membership, because some of the new stuff that we're doing over on Patreon is absolutely fantastic. Trying to keep all the live shows still going on YouTube because the YouTube chat function just works better than any other live streaming platform. And the chat is what makes our community. You guys that show up in the chat every single day for all the shows that we do make the Talkin Kop the Talkin Kop. So I want to thank you guys for that every time. No. They'll still be YouTube lives. Don't worry about that. The live shows that we do will still be on YouTube. So the free shows like post-match reaction, preview shows, the Sunday night show, the flagship Sunday night show will stay free on YouTube for anybody to watch. We're just putting the things that are behind the paywall on YouTube now for YouTube members, like the 30 and a few shows like that. Those are moving over to Patreon, but Patreon gives us so much more flexibility and options for doing other shows, like the High Five show that Gav debuted yesterday with Conan from the Villa Pod, like Reaction Extra, which Gav and I did for the Newcastle game, for the PSG game the other day, and like Good Process, which was out 2 Mondays ago, talking through some of the calamities from the PGMOL, from the Premier League.
We'll be back.
Those are things that we get to do on Patreon that YouTube would never allow us to do in 100 years because of copyright. So please consider coming on over for that. And please consider supporting one of the members of the channel, Pete Smith, wonderful, wonderful actor. He's playing Phil Lynott in a production that is going on at the Vicar Street Theatre in Dublin in April and June. April shows completely sold out. So sorry if you're only in Dublin for April, but if you're in Dublin for June and you want to go see a good show and you want to support Pete from this channel, you can get tickets available for that. You'll find the link for tickets in the show description. You'll also find the Vimeo link for the trailer for Pete's new movie, which is called Code Red Spain, coming out soon. And I know that any of us that watched the old LFC Day Tripper shows and the Talkin Kop shows when Pete was on will be very much looking forward to watching a guy from this channel that we've watched have running battles with Phil and Gav for a long time, playing what seems to be a bad guy in this movie. It looks very, very good. So, and Brian O'Sullivan wants to support me to do another show from the tractor. You very well might get that, Brian, because it's going to be seeding time for me as we're getting into April and May at the end of the season. So you might be getting some shows live from the middle of a field from me because I'll have to be at work when the Reds are playing midweek games, especially, and there's nothing you can do about that. But Thank you very much, Ashley. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Kev. Thank you very much, Olivia, for joining us in the chat. Thank you, everybody else in the chat, for joining us. Please hit the thumbs up button if you've been in here watching us. 16 points clear at the top of the table. Did I read there? 16 points clear.
I don't even have enough fingers to do that.
I sure do like the sounds of that. 16 points clear at the top of the table. We got a home to PSG on Tuesday, and then just a beautiful, beautiful cup final coming up next weekend. And of course, we'll be with you after all those games to talk through it all. This has been the Talkin Kop. Thanks for joining us. See ya.